Can you tell everybody how much you made last month?
I made $8,093. I never thought that I would make that in a month. This is real.
Mm.
This is real.
If you want to learn how a signing agent went from $0 a month to over $8,000 a month in notary signing agent income, you're going to want to watch this video. Hi there. I am Mark Wills, America's largest notary coach, here with one of my most amazing students, Berjoh, out in the great state of Florida. And she's going to tell you her journey from when she started to where she is today. B, how are we doing?
I am doing great.
Can you tell everybody how much you made last month?
I made $8,093.
$8,000 in 30 days. When I
Yes.
repeat that back to you, what emotions or feelings come out?
Man, I never thought that I would make that in a month, ever. I've never made that in a month,
But
actually.
I didn't even know, like, last month was your best month as a notary. You've been doing this full time for about 2 years now. And so I'm glad that we're having this conversation at the peak of your business. But let's take people through your journey, because I think from where you were to where you are at an $8,000 a month notary signing agent business owner
Yes.
is an incredible story. So take us back. How did we get here? Why did we get here? And just tell your story.
I was working for a company where I actually thought, because I was making a little bit more money than what I was before, that this was going to take me places, and I'm like, yes, my manager, she inspired me to go back and get my master's degree. I got my master's degree, but I got no more money. And I was like, what am I going to do? I don't want to stay in this place. I don't want to just make enough to pay bills and then I can't get groceries. I'm out here doing Instacart. I would have never thought ever. And not that there's anything wrong with it, but that had become a regular thing where
Right.
after I paid the bills, me and my kids, I have to, make it fun because I don't want to tell them, look, mommy don't have no money.
Mm,
And if y'all don't go to Instacart with me, we're not going to eat.
mm.
So we got to go out there and we got to do the Instacart. Every time I got paid,
Every time.
every time I got to go out there, get Instacart so I can put a little gas in the car and get groceries.
We are told in this country, you go to college, you get out of college, you're going to make a ton of money. Then we're told you get a master's degree, you're going to make even more money.
Yeah.
So let me just make sure I heard this right. You have undergrad, then you have a graduate degree,
Yes.
and with your graduate degree, you were not even making enough money to pay
No.
all your bills and get groceries for your family.
No.
And if you can just don't mind me asking, but like, how'd that make you feel? Like, you did everything you were supposed to do. You went to college,
Exactly.
got a master's degree, but you still are literally living so paycheck to paycheck, even worse than that. There wasn't enough money paycheck to paycheck. You'd have to go then pick up a part-time Instacart, bring your little children with you so
Yeah.
they can deliver groceries, and you're sitting there with the master's degree.
Yeah.
And my bet is too, you're sitting there with college debt. Am I close to being?
Oh yeah. I couldn't even pay it.
Yeah.
There was no way I was going to be able to fit that into the bills that I was paying. And then many people, think, well, aren't you married?
Mhm.
Yes, I am. And my husband's income, he is retired, but
Yep.
that pays for our house,
Mhm.
which means what are we going to do with everything else?
Mhm.
We got to
Yeah.
pay for everything else. So he's Instacarting too and
Mm.
doing Uber. And we're just out there tag teaming it. Sometime he could take the kids with him, sometime I could take them with me. We're trying to make it a fun thing, giving them a
Yeah.
little bit of incentive, like mommy will give you a little $20, I'll give you $20 if you just come out with me. And my kids would complain after a while because they
Yeah.
didn't want to ride around. I would
Yeah.
go in the morning and I would get done just before it got dark because my husband didn't want me out there late
Mhm.
because it wasn't safe. And I would just sometimes make 150 bucks. I'm out there all day, make 150 bucks. That's enough to buy groceries only.
For all intent and purposes, you did the American dream. Your
Yeah,
husband retired from the fire department. You not only got a 4-year degree, you went out and got an MBA. So
yep,
you have a firefighter husband retired. You have a college MBA, and then you're still Instacarting because your paychecks weren't covering your bills. Thank you for letting me share your story, because I think a lot of people feel like, oh, they've done everything right, but they're still behind. And I want them to know they're not alone. And that's why I bring
no,
these stories. They're so powerful. It's like, if you're watching this right now and you're in the same boat as her, you did everything you were told to do, but you're
yep,
still living less paycheck to paycheck. That's not the end of your story. That's just the beginning of your story. She's now an $8,000 a month
yes,
signing agent, but we're going to get to that in a
yes,
moment. So you're sitting there as a mom. You've done everything right, right? You
hmm,
you
yeah,
married a firefighter, you got an MBA, but you're still Instacarting because you're
yeah,
short funds.
yeah,
I almost find myself crying because, like, I think so many people do the right things and sometimes it's just a little short, and I want them to know they're not alone.
yeah.
And so I don't know why I'm crying, but it's such a powerful story though, B. And what were you feeling in those moments, right? But before your signing agent business was booming, of like you did everything right, but you're still Instacarting with your kids in the back seat. How are you feeling?
I was stuck. I had a day where I had so much going on in my mind because I was just like, I didn't think I'd get to this place, right? I had a moment where something happened to where my vision got blurry. I'm sitting at work, and I work from home, and I'm like, what is going on? And it scared me. And I tried to get up, and I couldn't. I couldn't.
Mm,
And I called my doctor. I made an appointment. I told her what happened. They got me in the next day. They brought me in. For the first time in my adult life, I had high blood pressure. And I said, no,
mm,
no. So I had to make a change
mm,
immediately, if not for myself, for my kids,
mm,
because I could stroke. What if I had a stroke? What
mm,
good am I to my kids? No, I couldn't. I
mm.
couldn't continue to feel stuck.
You
People
are.
think, well, you were at home on a
Yeah,
computer.
yeah,
How bad can that be? It was mentally stressful.
that's
It
right.
was mentally debilitating. As you can see, I'm sitting up
Mhm,
here. I've never had that happen before.
mhm,
Vision blurred. I can't
mhm.
move. And I was
Yeah,
home alone.
yeah,
So I had,
yeah,
if something happened, I would have
right.
been there until my husband got home or my kids got home from school.
Yeah. We're all part of a big LSS family. And we have some students where things just didn't fall in the right spot.
Mhm.
For you, it's almost the opposite. Everything kind of fell for the big pieces, right? You married the
Yeah.
firefighter, you got a college degree, you got an MBA. Like,
Hmm.
this wasn't supposed to happen to you.
Exactly.
Right? Like, no, 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 no.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not supposed to be almost having a heart attack, in front of a computer at my age, like, with everything I've done to get here. The reason I say that a few times is everyone's watching this, like, you're not alone if you feel like this is you.
Yeah,
Like, we are, like,
absolutely.
sometimes life's. And what I think's beautiful
Yeah.
about you, though, B, is like, I don't think anybody would have faulted you for curling into a ball and just kind of throwing your hands up in the air, right? Like, you
Mhm.
were doing everything you were told to do,
Exactly.
but it wasn't working out. So why didn't you
No.
curl into that ball?
I strongly feel like I got my resilience from my mom
Mhm,
because she was a single mom
mhm,
and she never let us see her fold.
mhm,
Never. And I know she had it hard. She
mhm,
never let us see her fold. Yeah, I wasn't going to do that to my
mhm,
kids. I'm not going to let them see mommy fold because
mhm,
mommy can
mhm.
do better. I just had to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so glad that my good friend referred me to your system because I knew what to do, but having, the framework
Mm.
just laid out for you. And
Yeah.
all you got to do is do it. Just
Yeah.
do it. It
Well, I
will
mean,
work.
I am so honored to be a small part of your journey. You are making the plays, and your little ones are so lucky to have you, because it's the role model. that they need more than anything. And,
Exactly.
and the beautiful part about life is resilience is created. It's not given. And so showing
Yep.
your little ones like this is what we got to do. And
Hmm.
what I tell every student in your position who's kind of had it in an unlinear path, like it was those moments that made you a good business owner, because being a good business owner isn't easy.
No,
No, you're gonna have your
it's
ups
not.
and downs, but until
Hmm.
you've been put in a situation where you can deal with it, like you're not
Hmm.
ready for business. And so everything that you've done up to this point is what's made you an $8,000 a month signing agent.
Yeah.
Thank you for being an example to the community of somebody who didn't give up, someone who's resilient. And thank you for sharing your story, because it's students like you that are vulnerable enough to let people know, like, they see students who make $8,000 a month and think everything's easy. Like they don't see like what you just shared. We all have a story. And
Hmm.
I tell people, like, your story is never over. You always have a chance to rewrite the next chapter. And
Exactly.
you have an $8,000 a month chapter that you just closed. Moving on to the next month,
Yes.
girl. Let's
Yes.
go.
Exactly. Exactly.
So proud of you. Like the
I'm
smile.
shooting for 10.
Let's
That's what I
go.
want. I'm shooting for 10, baby. I'm putting
And
in the
what
work and I'm gonna do it.
I've no doubt. And what I love about this business is like the smile that I just saw.
Yes.
That is a smile of someone who's now in control. It's
Hmm.
a smile of someone who knows the future is bright. It's a smile of
Yes.
someone that all those years of weight is now lifted off my shoulder. I just saw it.
Yes.
Everyone
And I
sees
have more time with
it.
my kids. I was
Mm,
working at home. I would cook dinner and get right in the bed.
mm,
And sometimes they would just come and get in the bed just because, they're like, I need to talk to you about my day. And
mm.
I'm like, my cup is empty.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Mm,
and I was working with behavioral health. So mentally, I'm like, my cup is empty. I'm working 8 hours,
mhm,
making very little, bringing home 1,300 every 2 weeks.
mhm.
Every 2 weeks, I'm bringing home 1,300. Now they get out of school. I meet them at the bus. I'm walking with them.
Yeah.
They love it. They absolutely love it.
How
They're
do they how
like,
do they how do they look at mom today? Business over
oh my God.
thriving. What's the look?
They smile. They just smile. They love it. They tell everybody
Oh.
about mom being a notary, the teachers, everybody. My son, I got some polos made with my logo on it. He
Yeah.
said, Mom, can you get me one made? He wears it to school.
Stop.
I kid you not. I have a picture of him.
Girl, I'm
I
gonna start
took it and put it on
crying.
social media. He wears my shirt, my
How does that
polo
make you
to
feel,
school.
mom? How does that
It
make you
it
feel?
makes me feel proud.
Mhm.
My kids, they look at me and they're like, I want to be a business owner. My daughter, I showed her how to do social media, and now she helps me do my marketing. And she's
Mhm.
proud, and her friends are jealous. They're like, I want to work for your mom. Like, I don't have anything else that I need to get done. So it makes me feel so proud that they look up to me and they're
Mhm.
like, wow,
Mhm.
mommy got a degree, mommy got a whole business.
Mhm.
You know, it's it's something that I wish I would have did sooner, but I think I probably maybe would have appreciated it.
Gotcha.
So maybe that's why, I
Gotcha.
went through everything I went through to get to this moment.
I truly believe that. I truly
Yeah.
believe that. And what I hope everyone just rewinds what they just watched, because the last 45 seconds is more important than $1 million. Right.
Hmm.
That's what
Hmm.
people don't
Hmm.
understand. It's like I always talk about the money, but I feel like it's like I almost have to, but that's not what I want to highlight. I want to
Hmm.
highlight what you just said. Like I wanted to cry that your little guy wanted to wear your shirt because he was
Yes.
so proud of mom.
Yes.
That
Hmm.
that is probably one of the best things that's never been shared in like 100 episodes that I've done. So let's do some inspiring. Like you had a pretty dark moment there, right? You just shared it.
Yeah.
And if someone's going through their dark moment, what would you tell them to get through?
It's okay to feel down. It's
Mhm.
okay to acknowledge that feeling. But then you also need to realize that I can do better.
Mm,
You have to see what needs to be done because, like I said, I knew what I could do. But
I love like that self-talk and that affirmations. And I don't think we do enough of that and we don't talk enough
no.
about that. But
Hmm.
I love it. Let me ask you this question. If Berjoh can make a successful loan signing agent business, can anybody and why?
Yes, because all you need to do is do it.
Mm.
You just need to do it. Don't be scared. Don't think that it's not going to work out. It is going to work out. It will not work out if you don't do it.
I think that's beautiful, by the way, because I think business is really about consistent effort equals results. And so I
Mhm.
want to share with people your journey. Okay. So you became full time about 2 years ago.
Yes,
First month, more or less, full time, what did you make?
I made the exact same amount that I made at work.
You made
Yeah.
2,600 bucks out of the gate. Then you dropped to 1,300. Take people through the mindset at that moment. How come you didn't give up? What was going on?
You know, everything that you put in your framework didn't work for me, but some of it did. And
Yeah,
I had to figure out that some things work for me and some things aren't.
that's right.
So I need to do the stuff that's working for me. And when I narrowed it down, that's all I had to do.
I'm dying over here because you said something you say so many amazing things, B. What I heard was a business owner who was committed.
Yes.
And when you make commitment, amazing things happen. Like you understood that, like, I need to get committed to this business. So I need to test 40 different marketing things
Yes.
and
Do it
knowing
all.
full well that some are not going to land. But instead of
Yep.
getting discouraged with the ones that don't land, I'm going to be encouraged because this is what
Yeah.
building a business looks like.
Yep.
It's being committed to the process. And so I wrote that
Hmm.
down when you said that, like, Mark, I was committed. And I
Yep.
hope everyone hears that. And part of committed is having realistic expectations that your income graph's going to go up. It's going to go down. It's going to go
Yep.
up, up, up. But eventually you get to where you are today, $8,000 a month. Such a
Yep.
good conversation, man.
One thing I didn't do was I didn't get in my own way by saying, well, if this doesn't work, I never said that
So
because I just feel
good.
like you're putting it out there. Like, okay, it's not going to work. Go back to what you were doing. Because I know I could go back to
Mm.
doing what I was doing. I
Oh,
have
so
skills,
good.
but I don't want to do
So
that.
good. There's so much power in that, everybody.
It is.
So much power in that.
Mhm.
Like if this didn't work, like stop. It's going to work. Now, it may not work tomorrow or in 30 days, but it will work with the effort. And to
Yeah.
me, I mean, honestly, like you said earlier in this conversation, like your whole life experience led you to this.
Yeah.
Because had you had this a little earlier in your journey, you may not have understood the word commitment like you
Yeah.
did when you first started. Like you
Yeah.
understood that like self-talk is real, right? It's
Hmm.
funny when you look back at your journey, like you're really an accumulation of all these events, positive
Hmm.
and negative.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like when you're ready, opportunity appears. And so like you were ready for this moment. And so I
Yep.
hope, and the reason I have these interviews with you students, I want other people to learn through your experiences. So like, don't use that negative talk. It will work. Don't be discouraged. Be
Yeah.
committed, right?
Yeah.
Committed is the most important thing. If your bestie was like, Berjoh, girl, you're killing it over there being a notary, give me the best piece of advice, tangible, that I could do to help me grow a business like yours, what would that be?
Hone in on that craft. Okay. When they say, you have to read this, don't be one of those people. It's 130 pages. Do I really have? Yes, do it. Because what you're going to find is that when you get out there and start telling people what you do, a lot of people don't know. And so if you can educate them, not only are they going to realize your value, you are going to sell yourself every time. You're going to
Okay.
kill it.
Your best piece of advice is to be the most educated signing agent on
Yes.
the loan documents, on the process. That's what
Yeah.
you're meaning by honing your craft. Be
Yes.
more specific to that advice. How has it been beneficial to Berjoh that you are as educated as a realtor, as educated on the process as a mortgage officer, as educated on the process as an escrow or title officer.
A lot of people think, well, I don't have experience, so they're not going to give me a chance. Wrong.
Mm.
If you know what you're doing, people are going to work with you. You
Mm.
can't come off the back and have no experience and not know what you're doing. Okay. You need to be able to basically share with them information that they can agree with.
Share information they can agree with,
Yeah.
meaning you're matching their level of expertise.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
she means by that. And what I wrote down in my notes as you were talking is you understood early that education takes the place of experience. So what you may be lacking in experience as a new notary, because you
Mm-hmm.
can't get experience until you do the signing, but in order to get the
Mm-hmm.
signing, you can match what they can agree with. That's such
Yeah.
a good quote. Then they won't see you as a new notary. They will see you as an equal.
Yep.
And then when they see you as an
Yep.
equal, that's when they give you business or opportunity for
Yes.
business. I
And then
hope.
they introduce you
Mm,
to other people
mm,
because you know what you're talking about. And that
so
has
good.
worked for me.
Because
And it
what
continues to work for me.
so many new students are so worried about, like, I lack experience, so who in the world would hire me? But if you're able to take the training and know it as well as you should, that's the advice.
Yes.
Then when you're in front of a mortgage professional, you sound as experienced or as educated, so they make the assumption you're experienced. And that's how you were able to get through this curve of, oh my gosh, not panic. I have any signings under my belt, but I'm as smart as them because I studied the loan signing system front
Yeah.
to end. And that
And it helps
sounds
build
like, by the
trust.
way,
They feel
someone
like
who
they can
loves
trust you.
education, Mrs. MBA. Okay. And I say
Absolutely.
that with the utmost compliment, by the way, because I stopped at a 4-year degree and I was, I am done. Um,
Uh,
but I love that. And what I love is you've used your superpower, which is loving to learn,
yes.
and you figured out how that can translate into more business. Learn to love learning because it
Yeah.
actually does help you in this business.
Yes. And you know what really helps is what a lot of people skip, learning the general practices.
Mhm.
Okay. Because if you don't get those mastered, you're not going to be the best signing agent
Mm.
because handling real estate documents, there are still notary to do. And you need to understand the general practice of how to execute
Mm.
notary certificates.
So you want to be a master in everything: loan docs, real estate, notarial law. And so you
Yes,
found it beneficial to just dive headfirst into all the education. And the
yes,
reason that's benefited you, I want everyone to hear the reason, because when you talk to another professional, they go, oh my gosh, she is arguably smarter than I am. And so I'm going to use someone
yeah,
who is smarter than me because
yeah,
that's who people want to represent them as the best of the best. I
mhm,
mean,
yeah,
what an incredible conversation. Well, let's wrap up with this. I hope everybody heard that piece of advice. That is, go all in on your education. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Let
yeah,
me ask this question real quick on the topic, because as you know, I have a library of information, right,
mhm,
inside the loan signing system.
mhm,
Is it safe to say that you actually watched every single video?
yeah.
I hope everybody
And there's
heard
a
that.
lot of them.
That's right. There's a
And the
lot
good
of them.
thing is, I can just log back in whenever I want and
Yeah.
take off where I left off. I don't have to sit there and watch the whole thing. I can take a break, I can come back, and they're there.
Yeah.
And so I have no excuse as to why I wouldn't know anything.
God, I love you.
None.
You just said it best. There's no excuse. I think a lot of
No.
people, say, Mark, well, is that in the course? I'm like, it's all in the course. You just got to go through the course,
And you got to watch it and don't
all of it.
skip.
That's
And if
right.
you get tired, just pause it and sign out and come back later.
Talking to you, person who skips through all
That's
the
it.
LSS content,
Yeah.
because
Don't
everything you
skip
need to know
it.
is in the course. You're looking at a success story who bases her success on how much she knows. So
Yes.
please continue to go through everything inside the course. Watch all the videos.
What I always hear is I talked to another notary, but it didn't sound like they knew what they were talking about
Mm.
all the time.
All the time.
Yep. So what I'm telling you is true. You need to pay attention, take the time, pause, come back, pause, come back. You don't have to digest everything all at once because it's a
Yeah.
lot of information depending on what
Yeah.
state you're in. It's just a lot, you know. So
Mhm.
just take your time. The more you know, though, the more you'll grow.
The more you know, the more you'll grow. So good.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the last question I have on the way out is, you've been now doing this full time for 2 years. We didn't really touch on it, but you started part time before you went full time. We only have an hour, so I didn't want to get into that. But, anyways, the point is this: you've been doing this for roughly 3 or 4 years now in totality, full time for 2 years. Now, if you can look back at your journey, and if there's, you're now a 4 year signing agent, if you can go back to the young Berjoh, meaning the young signing agent Berjoh, right, 4 years ago, is there something you would tell her that you would want her to do differently to help you scale quicker? What would that be?
This is real.
Mm,
This is real. It's not just a hobby, just a little quick side gig. No, this is real.
mm.
Take it serious and watch it grow.
Ah,
Because I didn't take it serious. I would just do it here and there. You know, if I could make it a little extra, no, you can actually build
mm.
this into a actual real empire.
I think a lot of times students are slow because they're treating it more like a side hustle than a
Yes.
business.
Hmm.
And you almost in the beginning treated it more like a side hustle than a real business. And you would have
Hmm.
wished you would have buckled down
Oh, yes.
sooner, marketed sooner, and realized, oh my gosh, there's actual
Hmm.
business out there.
Hmm.
What was kind of that moment though? I think it's such a good topic because a lot of students are listening right now and they're like, wow, you're right. I don't take this business as serious as I should.
Hmm.
What changed when you took everything serious?
I started getting more calls,
Mm,
because before when I wasn't taking it serious, I literally would just be like, no, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do that. And I was like, you know what? What if I did it all?
mhm.
What would happen?
What if I start going to networking events? What if I start going marketing direct to title companies?
And
Wow,
I
it's
did
such
it
powerful.
and I get calls. And what I will honestly tell you is that I have direct clients that I never marketed to.
Mm,
They're all from word of mouth of
mm,
people who worked with me. And
yeah,
so that's a big deal.
yeah.
That's a really big deal.
Well, and the purpose of this question is like, how can you, if you can talk to the young signing agent, younger version of you, how can you scale quicker? You could have got to those referrals quicker. You could have got to
Yes.
those signings quicker. To
Hmm.
this point, if you would have taken it serious and buckled down, like,
Yes.
what if I would have marketed direct?
Yep.
What if I do go to networking events? And there's this
Hmm.
real moment of like this business can't grow if I'm not committed. And that's what you
Yeah.
talked about early in the conversations was
Yeah.
this word commitment. And it's very vulnerable of you to be like, I didn't always take it this serious.
I didn't even start going to networking events until I knew I wanted to go full time.
Yeah, yeah,
So imagine if I would have did it
yeah.
sooner. I would have gotten so much work to where I couldn't do that job anymore. And I would
Mhm.
have had to quit because
Yeah.
I wasn't going to shut down my notary business.
I
I
hope
wasn't
everyone
going to do
hears
that.
that. If you're watching this right now and you're kind of like sometimes going to networking events, sometimes going out to marketing,
Hmm.
sometimes calling signing services, it's when
Hmm.
you turn that corner and go, no, 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 I'm all in. Because
Yep.
you wish you would have had that I'm all in moment sooner because could have had that
Hmm.
time with your children sooner. You could have made
Yeah.
more money sooner. You could have had a flourishing
Yep.
business sooner. And so I love this
Yep.
idea that like in order for me to really blossom into what I am today, an $8,000
Hmm.
month signing agent, I wish I just would
Hmm.
have taken the business more serious,
Yes.
done the hard work, committed to the
Right.
process, committed to the education,
Hmm.
committed to the up and downs of what it takes to be an entrepreneur. I think a lot of times people aren't truly committed, and that's why they get discouraged.
Yeah. And I had to commit to going to the networking events after
Mm,
work. And I
yeah.
would be dog tired, but I told myself I
Mm.
had to do two a month. I had to. And I just did it,
Commitment,
tired and all.
commitment. I hope everyone just gets inspired by this conversation. But we talked about how like everything kind of led up to this moment because like, sometimes life almost comes too easy. You marry the firefighter, you get the education, you get your MBA, but it's almost sometimes like life tests you a little bit because that's what you need. And like that
Take
moment
you
of like,
out your
okay,
comfort zone.
that's right. That's exactly right. And that's what I love. It's because I hear a story where I'm like, oh, it makes sense to me. All those times was building you for this,
Yeah.
right? It was building you as much as it hurts to like
Hmm.
look back at those moments, but it's almost like, oh man, the
Yep.
moments of Instacarting for 10 hours a day, the moments of getting my kids in the car, like it was building the resilience I needed to build this business I currently have. And so it's just another way
Yeah.
of looking back and not looking bad at those memories, but being like, all right, that was just building the skin that I needed to be where I am.
Yeah.
Cause like you said, girl, you're going to be at 10,000. You're going to be the next signing service owner.
Yes.
There is
I'm looking
no
forward
doubt
to
in
it.
my mind. Any final words that you want to say to somebody watching us right now on just inspiring them to just get to the next level and commit?
Just do it. Like I said, learn as much as you can and use what you learn right away. Don't, I see too many people, they say, I took this a year ago and never did anything. Why? Learn it and do it. Like use it right away. Okay. Because you're going to find that you're going to know so much and you're going to be able to just blow it out there to everyone. And they're going to be looking like, I got to work with her or
Mm,
him. And disclaimer, because some people say, well, if you don't have a signing service, you're not going to make the money. I do not have a signing service.
yeah.
I don't. I never have.
B, I just want to say I'm proud of you. Thank you
Thank you.
for sharing the story. And I
Absolutely.
think you know as well as I do that this is still the beginning of your signing agent journey. Like this,
Yeah.
girl, I see in you our next seven-figure earner. Like I don't say that loosely. You go back to all the shows that I've done, I've said that 2 or 3 times. Um, but I see it in you. I know you're built for this. When I say this,
Thank
being
you.
an entrepreneur, because we're built differently.
Yes.
Like being an
Yeah.
entrepreneur is not for everybody, but when you
Yeah.
are one, everything seems to fall into place. So
Hmm.
congratulations on what you've built. I know it's a
Thank
beginning.
you.
Thank you for allowing me to be a small part of your journey and
Absolutely.
to the freaking moon. Till next time, B. Bye.